Parents shouldn't try to prevent kids from learning curse words. In the world that we currently live in, everyone has frustrations that they have to let out somehow. Cursing is one of the most effective ways to de-stress and actually makes pain more bearable. Trying to prevent kids from picking up curse words and using them makes you a hypocrite if you use them as well. The world in which children are growing up is full of cursing and it isn't gonna change anytime soon. So, it should be obvious that you cannot prevent children from hearing curse words, unless you keep them incredibly sheltered. They will hear them from friends, from family, from the media. It will happen. Perhaps it is more important to teach kids when it's acceptable to curse, and when it's not. Don't curse at school or at church, don't curse in front of grandma, but it's okay to curse in a moment of pain or frustration. Upvoted not only because it is unpopular but also I completely agree with. All that happens when you restrict a child is that they do the same thing but hide it better. But, parents will need to keep a check on how often the child uses those words. I personally think that kids should only be able to swear when it's not used in offense of other people. I think it should be that way with everyone regardless of age, but, it'd be easier to teach children this so they don't do this later in life. The reason a curse word is so effective at letting out frustration, is that we are taught saying it is taboo, at an early age. A curse word with no meaning, and literally zero societal consequences, in certain situations, for saying it, is worthless. If you start regularly saying fuck at 6 years old, and your parents or teacher has no reaction, then all they are teaching you is that the word has zero value and it won't help to alleviate pain. Another reason is that if parents don't teach you not to say curse words, then like I learned the hard way, you will start saying them in inappropriate circumstances, in front of teachers, at church, with family, at a young age and suffer for it. Some earlier posters have made similar points already. My first word was a curse word, my parents loved it. I couldn't pronounce the Russian word for chew and out came dick. Thanks, Dora. There is a right age to learn things. Sometimes learning too early or too late can be wrong. In this case, learning curse words at an early age is problematic. Okay. Here's my take on it. If kids are allowed to curse as a regular expression of everyday experiences, will it not possibly stunt their ability to fully and adequately express themselves in situations where they would be completely unable to curse? Work meeting, Dr. Office, court. I have kids, they hear me curse when I get frustrated, or while driving usually. They hear it, and I have expressed the above to them from early on. I don't allow cursing in everyday casual conversation until they reach a point of being able to fully express themselves without expletives. Cursing isn't taboo or wrong, I have told them it can be a verbal crutch. Good when you need it, but you don't want to always use it. Oh, and of course they are allowed to ask what any expletive means without fear of repercussions. Just my 2 cents. It's true that cursing alleviates pain. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with your argument about parents not preventing kids from learning the words ILL. Leave that up to parents, but I think the most important lesson is teaching children the appropriate time and place for different language. Probably don't scream "oh, fuck," in church during the sermon, but if you're at home and stump your toe, go for it. I disagree. Personally, I think that people swearing makes them sound trashy and I don't think you should teach your kids to act like that. Trying to prevent kids from picking up curse words and using them makes you a hypocrite if you use them as well. No. Just no. That logic is so fucked up. There is an endless list of things that adults do that kids should not do, and I don't think I need to list them. There's no hypocrisy in forbidding your kid to do things you also do. They are kids, for Christ's sake, they are not adults. My mom had the rule that we were allowed to swear at home, but it couldn't be directed toward her or God. But man, did I say fuck you Zeus a lot. She said God but didn't specify which one. Tiny loophole but a big win for a middle school aged smartass. Well. This is unpopular. Instead of hiding them from the words, educate them on when it's inappropriate curse and when it's okay. I'm 27 and my mom swears like a sailor. And she's also a hypocrite. I wasn't even allowed to say the word damn around her, and don't to this day because I made the mistake of saying shit while speaking with her on the phone last year, and even as an adult she ripped me a new one. But joke's on her, I also swear like a fucking sailor. My dad is actually the one who doesn't really care about cursing and taught me when to turn it off. Parents need to be more understanding that even their kids are human and will likely do human things. A parent's reaction really has an impact. While they think they are teaching them good morals, it could potentially have a negative effect on their kid. Parents are supposed to raise their kids to be better than them. You shouldn't be letting your children take up cursing just because you do it. You know, cursing, especially for children, is wrong and impolite. You're supposed to be the adult in the situation and teach children right from wrong, polite discussion and words, and how to control oneself without the need for such language. Allowing bad language opens the door for bad behavior because you're already letting your kids know there won't be consequences for the things they say. Children also grow up thinking this way of speaking so openly with curse words is normal, and they start saying in places and in front of people where it's not called for. Also, the studies you mentioned, de-stress and pain relief, are of adults only, not children, so don't bother trying to say the same effects extends to children when there's no evidence for it. Saying adults do it, kids should too, or you're a hypocrite is an excuse for bad and lazy parenting. Only parents who are too lazy to discipline their children and provide them a structured and healthy environment let them get away with doing and saying whatever they want. Kids will learn curse words in their own time as they go through life. The last ones encouraging them and their use in children should be their parents. Just because something won't change anytime soon doesn't mean you should completely let loose with any sort of morals, civility, and manners. I've taught my 9-year-old son not to say them, only because kids have a hard time with self-control. I don't need him cursing at school, and we get a call from the school about how he's a bad kid. My wife and I know he says them and we understand he knows most of them, but I try to prevent him simply so it doesn't become a big habit that gets him into trouble with the important people. It's also best for him to learn to speak eloquently, before he gets overconfident with slang. I don't curse. I never have. My children will follow my example. I always feel worse about my attitude than my words. I have 2 kids. Basically, you might be angry. If you're yelling fuck or shit, look at your kid's innocent face during that and you won't be worried about the words. They're either sad or scared, neither resemble happiness. That's a shitty feeling. I think teaching them when to use it is important, but only half of the life lesson. If you let your kids curse at home, in moderation, and teach them to respect others, and cursing in front of strangers, elders, or teachers is disrespectful, I feel this would be more impactful. It's tied into things like don't speak with your mouth full and saying thank you. Understanding how to respect others to me seems like the root of it all, admittedly not a parent although soon to be. Looking at these comments, I'm going to be sad when I get old and people think they can't curse in front of me again. Also, if I ever got a call from a teacher complaining about my kid cursing, I'd tell them to call me back when there's a real issue and to stop wasting everybody's time. When my kid said something to the effect that all the other kids use those words, I just said, I know. I want you to be better than that, and that was the end of it. I don't allow my kids to swear, they're far too young to be allowed to speak with that level of anger. Words require thought, and I would rather they tell me they're angry and why than calling me a fucking bitch. And in my opinion, happy swearing isn't common enough not to associate swearing with being a negative action. In time they will be allowed to swear because I do swear, but they understand that those words are for older people, the same as driving or having alcohol, so eventually they will be able to. But I fully judge the parents of any kid under 14 that I hear swearing. Classic Reddit mentality here: let kids know about sex, swearing, first-hand alcohol and drug usage early and under their house to help shape how they use all of it. Dumb. Screw you, Reddit. Take your upvote up. I agree. They will eventually curse anyway. I'd rather know my kid knows these words and be able to talk to them about appropriate age/use/setting than to find out in some incredibly embarrassing situation that they are out cussing up a storm. People use curse words to vent, but sometimes people just use a bunch of curse words because they don't have the proper vocabulary to voice a concern that they have. I don't completely disagree with you or think that kids should be sheltered from all bad words, but I also think it's important to teach a child how to properly communicate something that is bothering them. They are more likely to get a solution. I manage a team of workers right now. I have a few people who will voice a concern that they have, and they will say, "This is what I don't like about X, Y, or Z, and here are the reasons why." And then I have one employee who just sits there, throws his hands up in the air, and says, "Fuck this, this is fucking bullshit. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Why do you think it's bullshit? It's fucking stupid." Sure, he may just be venting in the moment, but also, he doesn't have the vocabulary, or the communication skills, to say what's bothering him, why it bothers him, and what would be a good solution. Which one do you think I take seriously? Which one do you think is more likely to resolve anything? I would rather my kids learn how to do the former.